When I published my Suzuki Celerio media drive video, there were comments that were saying that the all-new Suzuki Celerio was overpriced. Well, in order to dig deeper, I have here the base spec Suzuki Celerio GL manual transmission, and in this video, we will find out if it's worth the asking price. Let's do this. Hello guys, I'm Reagan and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I invite you to click that subscribe button for your regular dose of Filipino automotive content. If you're my subscriber already, well, sit back, relax, click that like button and enjoy the show. Also, special thanks to Suzuki Manila Bay for providing the base spec Suzuki Celerio GL manual transmission to do this car review. If you're within the area and you need any Suzuki, head on down here to Suzuki Manila Bay and check them out. If you have any inquiries, you may also contact the person in my pinned comment below. Oh yes, and before we begin guys, if you find this video helpful, clicking that super thanks button will also be highly appreciated. At first, I didn't want to believe the comments that were saying that the all-new Suzuki Celerio is expensive, and then, I sat down to prepare for this video. Well, as it turns out, the base spec Suzuki Celerio GL manual transmission has a retail price of 708,000 Philippine pesos, which also took me by surprise. You see guys, when you compare it to the other contenders in the category, like the Toyota Wigo and the Honda Brio, both of which also have manual transmission options, the Suzuki Celerio GL manual is a bit on the expensive side. Still guys, we will find out in this video if it is worth the asking price. First up, the front mug. Well, it bears some similarities with the Mini Countryman, which shouldn't come as a surprise because the Suzuki Swift also looks like a Japanese Mini Cooper. Now, it must be the shape of the halogen headlight housing here, as well as the design of the front bumper, which makes the Suzuki Celerio look like a tiny Mini Countryman. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. This is a good look, one that should please a lot of hardcore Suzuki Celerio fans out there. The side profile is a pretty standard city hatchback silhouette, but the Suzuki Celerio, even in the base trim manual transmission variant, gets larger 15-inch alloy wheels here versus the 14s that are usually found in its competitors. However, guys, the mechanical bits still remain on the budget side as expected in the price category. The Celerio gets ventilated disc brakes up front, drum brakes at the back, and for the suspension, we have a MacPherson setup in the front and a torsion beam at the back. Now, the ground clearance of the Celerio is a healthy 170 millimeters, which we also got to test out in the Suzuki Philippines media drive because we went through some pretty flooded areas there, some flooded streets, and the Celerio was able to pass with flying colors. There's only one way for you to open the trunk of the Suzuki Celerio, and that's by making use of the key fob, the key right here. So you have to press the unlock button, and you can now pop it open by using the trunk handle right here. We don't get any keyholes here, and there's no button or lever inside the car to open the trunk, so it's only just by making use of your key. Now that we have this thing open, Suzuki Philippines is proud of the cargo capacity of the Suzuki Celerio because it has 295 liters of cargo capacity here, which is one of the class leaders in the category. Now, 295 liters is good enough for one medium-sized luggage and there's still space here on the side for a smaller carry-on luggage. Now guys, if you need more space than 295 liters, we can also split fold the back seat here, which will further expand your cargo capacity. Now, if you're looking for your spare tire, it can be found underneath the floorboard of the trunk, and yes, we do have a donut spare tire right here. The Suzuki Celerio is equipped with a 1-liter 3-cylinder gasoline motor that pumps out 67 horsepower and 89 Newton meters of torque. Now the power is sent to the front wheels via a 5-speed manual transmission for the base spec Celerio. And if ever you're wondering guys, there is no engine undercover in the Celerio, which is already typical with these budget city cars. Now, the Celerio's strongest point is its fuel economy, which we also got to test out. You see, I participated recently, several weeks ago, in Suzuki Philippines' fuel economy media drive. And in that drive, under the mixed driving conditions with some heavy traffic thrown in, we were still able to get 18 kilometers per liter. Now, granted, we didn't have our air conditioning on at that time because it was a hyper-miling fuel economy run, but we were 3 heavy dudes in the car, so yeah, that kind of balanced things out. Now, if you want to watch that video, you can also click on the link above. So the cabin of this base trim Celerio GL manual transmission is decently spec'd because it gets the exact same trim that can be found in the top spec Celerio GL with the AGS. Now the only difference here guys is we get a 5-speed manual transmission here instead of the auto gear shift that can be found in the top spec Celerio. Now granted guys, this is still a budget cabin, so we do get fabric seats here, we get a urethane steering wheel, although the steering wheel does get some hands-free buttons for audio connectivity. Now the wheel also just adjusts for tilt, doesn't really telescope guys, which is already pretty much expected in this budget city commuter category. The instrument gauge cluster here is it's an analog speedometer with a digital tachometer. It's something that I like guys, it's pretty nifty. And we also have a 6.2-inch touchscreen infotainment system here that comes with smartphone mirroring and also Bluetooth connectivity. Now I kind of find it weird that we also have the buttons to operate your power windows here in the center, and we also have the buttons here for your central door locking system. Now as for the safety bits of this Celerio GL manual transmission, as you can see on your screen, we do get a decent set of safety features here, safety bits, which is already expected in this budget city commuter category. Now when you go down to the air conditioning control system here guys, we do get the traditional typical Suzuki analog controls here and knobs, and we also have a couple of cup holders here at the bottom part guys, which I will subject to my 600 ml clean canteen test. As you can see guys, my clean canteen is too tall and the cup holder is too small, so yeah, it doesn't pass my clean canteen test. Although if you do have like a bottle of iced tea or bottled water, it can easily fit in that pair of cup holders. Now, of course, we have our 5-speed manual transmission here, guys, a manual handbrake, and we also don't have a center armrest here, something that you'll already come to expect in this in this car category. I got to spend some time here at the back seat of the Suzuki Celerio during a Suzuki Philippines media drive event, and it was a long drive, guys, and I can attest to you that this back seat is mighty comfortable. You see, it was a long drive from Batangas back to Manila, and I didn't feel claustrophobic, I didn't feel nauseous while I sat here in relative comfort. Now, I surmise that the large windows have a lot to do with that, plus the ample space of this back seat, despite being such a tiny city car. Now guys, I'm only 5'6", but during that media drive, we also had another passenger here. His name is Cesar of Philcoche, and Cesar was much bigger than I am, both in height and also in weight. Now Cesar was seated here at the back seat on our way to Batangas from Manila, and Cesar was super comfortable here at the back as well. Now, comfort aside, guys, unfortunately, well, we don't really get any amenities here. We don't even have a center armrest, and I find it weird that the buttons to operate your power windows here at the back are found right there on the center, at the bottom part in the center. Yeah, they're located there instead of a USB charge port or an AC vent. So yeah, it's a bit weird. It's a bit of a cost cut, but it is what it is. Alright guys, so we're now driving the Suzuki Celerio GL with a 5-speed manual transmission. And first up guys, transmission feel, clutch feel. I mean, I was really surprised that the clutch of this Celerio has got to be the lightest clutch that I've ever stepped on. I mean, it's almost not there. It is so light. It is that light. And the shift action of this vehicle is very smooth. It slots into gear quite easily, and it's so easy to drive, guys, because of that light clutch. So if you're apprehensive about getting a manual transmission Celerio because you might have a sore left leg if you get stuck in stop-and-go traffic, well, guys, you don't have to worry at all because the clutch of this thing, it is super light. You also get a surprisingly good amount of visibility here in this car. Despite being small and low, we've got a nice and wide open windshield up front. We've got large windows here on the side. So this will be perfectly easy for newbie drivers to pilot around town because it just feels so tiny, and yet it has such good visibility. Now, as for the suspension, guys, well, I was quite surprised that this Suzuki Celerio was able to handle itself pretty well. You see, when we took it out to Batangas on that Suzuki Philippines media drive, we were 3 heavy dudes, as I said, and yet the suspension did not bottom out. I mean, it handled itself with grace, guys, and it went through some pretty rough roads with ease. So I dare say that, yeah, this Suzuki Celerio being manufactured in India, well, the suspension has been tuned to handle rougher roads. I mean, I dare say that the roads in India are pretty similar to what we have here in the Philippines. So we have a mix of, yeah, rough roads and some off-road areas, and maybe even some flood. So yeah, this Suzuki Celerio has a suspension that is tuned to handle heavy loads and challenging roads and challenging terrain with ease. Now, as for the NVH, guys, well, you cannot expect to get NVH that is found in pricier vehicles. You see, the NVH of this thing, it's really a budget city car, guys. So that means it's a little bit noisy here inside. Yeah, you're going to hear some ambient noise coming into the cabin. When you go out on the highway, yeah, the wind noise can be heard. It's there, guys. It's pretty much expected in this budget city car category, guys. And yeah, and I also hear some engine sounds coming into the cabin, especially when you are accelerating. Steering feel is also pretty good. I mean, I do know that this Suzuki Celerio comes with a hydraulic power assist assembly. So yes, the feel is good, the feedback is there, and you don't feel disconnected from the road. These are all character traits that I love when it comes to the steering feels of the vehicles that I drive. Now, as for the acceleration, well, we do have a 5-speed manual, so let's try it out. Love it. And we only have 67 horsepower here, guys. But man, this is pretty engaging. And the mere fact that you hear the engine noises coming into the cabin makes you feel that you're going faster than you really are. But in reality, we're still way below the speed limit, guys. You see, driving the Celerio with a manual transmission is definitely more engaging. It gives you that feeling you're driving a race car. Woo! See? Wow, I love it. Even if we're not really going that fast. But yeah, between this and the AGS, as much as I love the AGS system of Suzuki, well, it's really tough to beat an actual 5-speed manual transmission. And check out how we take this corner, guys. Woo! See? Wow, I love the handling. It took that corner pretty well. Handling was tight, guys. It was really tight. And yeah, by golly, wow. As I said, guys, nothing really beats the driving engagement of an actual 5-speed manual transmission. And the best part here, guys, is that the clutch of this thing is one of the lightest clutches ever. So you won't have leg fatigue if you're going around stop-and-go traffic. I mean, it's perfect. It's a perfect city commuter. The Suzuki Celerio may seem expensive at first glance, especially when you compare it to the manual variants of the Toyota Wigo and the Honda Brio, but both of these contenders don't look like a tiny mini Countryman, so the Suzuki Celerio gets plus points for looking like a Euro car. Now at the end of the day, guys, value is what the next person is willing to pay for it. So for the hardcore Suzuki Celerio fans out there, the asking price of the Suzuki Celerio is truly worth it. Thanks for watching.